YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Braxton Family Values. Alright, so as you can see, it is just me today in the kitchen. Well, my lovely, handsome cameraman for today is behind the video, and he'll be testing it out. As highly requested, today we are cooking with me. Alright, so one of the most requested recipes we got, like I have tons. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you guys know I love to cook. I love to eat. That one loves to eat too. So gotta make sure the food is good. And so one of the most highly requested recipes we got was to make a steak. I thought you were gonna come with something a little bit more fancier than that. But I mean, we could totally do steak. We could start there and then we can take it from there. Anything you guys wanna see, definitely make sure you guys drop down a comment below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. And we're gonna keep it going. We gonna feed your mind on this channel, your bodies, your bellies, and we're just gonna get it good, right? All right, so let's come on over. So as you guys can see, we have two different types of steaks. So Christopher does not like fat. Well, you know, I got a little chunk, but he doesn't like fat on his meat. So I have a filet for him and a ribeye for myself. They have already been washed. They have already been cleaned. Make sure y'all clean y'all meats, because y'all, you know, look, I don't have a problem with red meat or anything, but we gotta make sure that they're clean and good for you to eat. So we've got some seasonings ready to go. Make sure you guys are just kind of following my hand and my wrist. Personally, I don't use measurements. I really don't. Really just even taking it back to history, like back in the day, y'all know they didn't used to give us the good food. They used to give us the scraps. So we had to load it with seasonings to make sure it tasted good. So all of that just passes down from generation to generation to generation. I'm pretty sure I've never seen my grandma use a measuring spoon or anything like that. The only time you want to use measurements really is like for baking, but the rest you just make it flavorful, make it taste good. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna make it nice and quick, and honestly, this is one of the most simplest recipes ever. I like my recipes to take, on average, 30 minutes or less, because that one gets a little hungry, all right? So first thing we got here, we got some salt. As you can see, they have been very well used. All right, so you're gonna salt liberally. You're gonna get some meat tenderizer. I personally get the kind that's unseasoned because I don't want to over season the meat. And you just add that on liberally as well too. You see it just shake, shake, shakes. It's unseasoned, so you put this on your meat to make sure that it's nice and tender. Those of y'all that eat that well done hockey puck steak, I can't relate to y'all. I don't know nothing about that lifestyle. We got some black pepper. As y'all can see, I don't necessarily have to go name brand with seasoning. Honestly, why would I pay $7 for something that's $1.29? Pro tip. So we're just gonna season that liberally. We're just gonna shake, shake, shake.
Are you saying literally or liberally?
Liberally.
Okay.
Liberally, that means freely.
So explain to us what liberally means. Oh, well, there you did.
That means,
well,
that means freely. And then we're gonna come over. So I like to, see, it's all in the wrist. You gotta check out, you see that wrist action, baby? It's all in the wrist. That's how you shake it. This is what Christopher does when he seasons.
Ooh, what?
He seasons like this. You're not gonna, we not cavemen, okay? You don't have to, and we're also not birds.
At least my food isn't bland.
Well, we know it's not bland, but you don't want to, when you eat, you know, we don't want that. You just want to go, or do like girls do, the little happy dance when they eat their food. Yeah, we want that. So we're gonna, you get the sprinkle side, and then you're just gonna take your wrist and go back and forth. Back, forth, and forth, okay? So, we're a little lighter with the garlic, because we'll also have some fresh garlic that we add in. So slight little story time. I allowed this one to cook for himself one time. When he was just making some scrambled eggs, he confused the sprinkle side with the spoon side and went like this with the pepper. And that is the story of how Christopher made gray eggs, no ham. All right, so the pepper was peppering all through the food and it was just too much. So if you do this, it's gonna dump, and we don't want that. Take a little onion powder, sprinkle that, and then there we have it. I normally use some accent as well too, but I'm out, so.
You forgot it?
They didn't have any at the store. Yeah, I know, I looked for it. Accent is always a good accent to your meal as well too. All right, so now we're just gonna flip and go repeat. Okay, so we've seasoned that, and I am going to let that sit. Now you guys, it's very, very important. Cleanliness is close to godliness. When you are switching in between items, you want to make sure that you're washing your hands, especially when you are switching in between, like from your meats to your vegetables, starches, all of that. You want to wash your hands in some hot water, okay? And just another thing that I like to do, instead of going back and forth to the trash, I mean, we don't live in a Diddy mansion, but instead of going back and forth to the trash, I like to just have a little trash bag right here so I can throw everything away and take that from there. All right, so now you guys, we're gonna go over to the potatoes. I personally, when I make my potatoes, I like to use golden yellow potatoes. Most people will recommend your russet potatoes, which is totally fine. Golden just adds that extra like buttery, flavorful feel. I actually remember we were at on vacation one time and we had these really, really, really good mashed potatoes. Remember those potatoes from Chateau Line?
They were at Chateau. Oh my gosh.
They were so good, weren't they?
Oh.
Right? So I used to always use just russet potatoes. I'm the type of person where I can taste something and I can immediately tell what's in it. I don't know, maybe that's just my grandma running through my veins. So I can taste something and tell.
You know what's crazy?
What's up?
Your head looks like the potato. Am I the only one that sees it? Nah, anyways, carry on.
Okay, because I have the knife in my hand. Right. So you know what? I should. All right, so they were really good that way. So I like to use yellow potatoes because they add a lot more flavor. They make the potatoes robust, really filling, and really, really flavorful. All right, so we're gonna rinse this off, and I am going to peel. Don't worry, I'm just rinsing this off because this is the skin, but I don't use any of the skin, so I'm just gonna peel this. And it's okay if you can't peel, you know, like in one motion. A lot of people use potato peelers. I personally don't. I mean, it's fine. I just like to use a knife. And dump the skin. And then get the rest of that, whatever else I didn't grab the first time.
What is a rustic potato?
A rustic? Mm-hmm. Russet. R-U-S-S-E-T. That's like the typical brown potatoes. Just like regular brown potatoes at the store. Those are russet potatoes. And we rinse. On this side, because we don't want any cross-contamination, we keep our meats completely separate from our cutting board. If I have multiple, most of my cutting boards are back at the other crib. So on this side, so that nothing gets cross-contaminated, I'm just gonna cut in half. And then cut down in chops. Okay, the reason why we do this is because when you have your potatoes kind of cubed like this, they cook down faster, and obviously they're mashed potatoes, so we're going to mash everything at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're good at throwing stuff.
Including these hands, huh? All right, now we just repeat, so. We're back. All right, so got those all rinsed off. Now we're just gonna clean them. Most people will be like, oh, they're good. I like to rinse until the water is clear. So now you can see that water's nice and clear, which means our potatoes are nice and clean. All right, now we've already got our water ready to go, simmering. I like to add a little bit of salt to the water because it flavors the water. So we're gonna salt the water. This actually helps it boil faster, but as you can see, the water has already come to a boil. So we're going to lightly add our potatoes. Now, if you are not a pro at this, please go slowly. I don't need anybody burning their hands or anything like that. Or if you're not used to hot things, please go slowly. Don't just dump them all in there. All right. And we're gonna bring those to a boil. So we're gonna turn those on medium and let them boil. Now, for the meat, el carne. We got our good cast iron ready to go. That's that gas, baby. We're gonna turn this on medium high. Good cast iron. Cast iron, I love cast iron because it just makes stuff feel like home, you know? Like good home cooking, whether you're from the south, the north, east, west. Cast iron just makes it feel like home. It's heavy, so it's not for the light of heart, but it's also really good because it can go in the oven. So I take my steaks, once we're done, you'll see how I go through it. We'll put it directly in the oven as well too, so it's oven safe. Not dishwasher safe, hand wash your cast irons. Do not put your cast iron in the dishwasher. All right, so now I'm just gonna take a little bit of oil and I'm just gonna coat the bottom. All right, as you can see, it's starting to spread, which means that our pan is getting hot. All right, the thinner it spreads, the warmer that the skillet is. All right, so we've coated that. Our steaks have been sitting, they look good. You see how the redness is starting to come out of that? Not for me.
I mean, it looks the same, but
look. Those that appreciate food, they'll know.
Oh.
All right. So the redness is starting to come out. That means the flavors are being brought out of them. As you can see, this marbling is so pretty. That marbling, that fat that Chris doesn't like, that gives you the flavor. So I'm gonna take a paper plate, place one steak on here as we transport it over. All right. Steak number one. And I am going to, ooh, yes, place it like so. Hear that sizzle?
smells like cooking oil.
Well, pretty soon it'll smell like food. There we go. Y'all hear that sizzle? That sounds good, doesn't it? All right, so now I'm just gonna add in, you've got a whole peeled garlic right here, and then a little bit of rosemary.
Look like a sensu bean.
A what? You look like a sensu bean, whatever that you're talking about. Okay, and I'm just gonna add this in here. The flavors and the aroma from the herb will resonate in with the meat, so I'll just add that in there as well too. Along with a little bit of butter.
Well, a sensu bean gives life, so essentially you feel like I'm giving life. I appreciate that.
This butter will add in some flavor and help it cook as well too. Okay, so they've been cooking for probably, let's just say about 2 to 3 minutes on this side. So I'm going to take and I'm going to flip. And I am going to
I feel like I'm at Benihana.
flip. All right. Now, FYI, I have been to some restaurants and I have seen the steak come out and it'll be like a little bit darker than this. If your steak comes out and it is like this kind of almost grayish brown color, it's not good. It's either really cheap meat or they just didn't finish cooking it.
Ooh.
Like when you finish cooking your meat, your steak should be brown. Why do you think in all the cartoons the meat be brown? Because that's good meat, okay? So right now, I'm just kind of what's called basting. And I'm just taking the oils that the meat has already produced and I'm just adding it to the meat. What this does, this prevents the steak from drying out. Y'all ever had like a dry steak? You ever had dry steak before?
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't, you ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I have for sure.
Oh, okay. Let's check on those potatoes, how they looking. They bubbling.
They're looking very yellow.
All right, so the ribeye obviously is a little bit smaller and thinner. I didn't want to get a super huge one because I'm not entirely that hungry right now, actually.
Which one is yours?
Which one do you think? That's not a trick question.
I'm gonna guess the smaller one.
Which one?
What?
Point to the one you think is yours.
That's mine.
Good. Why?
Because it's bigger.
It doesn't have the fat.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna flip these just on their sides because as you can see the fillet is a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna flip this on its side. Yeah, I gotta cook the meat through and through. Worst thing you want is to open and cut your steak and be like, it's raw!
It's raw!
Alright, we're gonna cook that. The ribeye, as we said, is thinner, so it'll cook through and through. Alright, let's cook on that side. Got that.
That looks good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna add a little bit of butter to the top. That just keeps that moisture nice and locked in. We're gonna turn that heat off, and then we're gonna let it cook in the oven. It's already preheat right to
350.
Yeah. So we're gonna let that cook for probably about 5 more minutes in the oven, and then we're gonna let it rest when it gets out, and I'll tell y'all what that means when we let it rest. Potatoes boil for a little bit longer. Let's test, let's see. They're rising to the top, but they're not soft yet. You can feel it. If they don't kind of break apart when you're poking into them with a fork, they're not done just yet. All right, so we will let those continue to bubble. We're gonna let this cook for about 5 more minutes, and we'll be back in a second. All right, so it's been a couple of minutes, right? And so I just turned the oven off. I'm gonna let the steak sit in there for about 30 more seconds while we season and mash our potatoes. They're nice and soft. I drained the water out of them. So now we're just gonna season them. So I'm gonna take some pepper, coat them liberally. Going to take some salt, coat liberally. And my favorite part, the butter. Nice and soft. I'm gonna add probably about half a stick of butter, and then we'll just take it from there to see how it is flavor-wise. It's nice and warm, so as you can see, the butter's already starting to melt. And I'm gonna take some milk. I personally use 2%, we use 2% in this house, and just do a splash. Now I'm going to just a splash. Grab my masher. I normally don't even use a masher. I really just use a spoon, old school, but I decided to keep it fancy.
So all these years that I've eaten potatoes, this is how people mash them?
Some people. You wanna know what I do?
What?
If you don't have one of these, don't feel bad. Not fancy. A spoon. So depending upon how creamy or chunky you like your mashed potatoes, you know, add more or less butter and milk, because that is what liquefies the potatoes. Still like them to be a little rough around the edges. And then you always gotta taste. That's what I do. I just taste and I make. Taste and make. Taste a little bit. It's hot. Need a little bit more salt and a little bit more butter. All right, let's season and taste. There we go. There we go. All right, let's take this steak out the oven. Ah, what do you have? What do you have? Cooked beautifully. Now for the finger test. I like mine cooked medium. Chris likes his cooked medium. When you take your finger, your hand should be clean. When you take your finger and poke it in the center, it should give it a little bit of bounce. The deeper your finger goes in, the less cooked it is. All right, so, yep. Beautiful. Let's chop the zucchini. I'm gonna take the zucchini and I'm just gonna chop it into slices. All right, got those. Let's turn this on. We're gonna do spinach and zucchini at the same time. Y'all know spinach cooks in like 30 seconds. Oh yeah, you hear that sizzle? Everybody has a favorite eye on their skillet. Mine is always the bottom right. What about y'all? Do y'all have a favorite eye on the skillet? So we're just gonna throw this in here. Season. Salt and pepper is really all you need. And we're gonna take the spinach, the organic baby spinach from Whole Foods. It's already been washed. We pre-washed it, pre-soaked all that. And voila. This is gonna be like, y'all know how spinach is when spinach cooks down like nothing. And I'm gonna take a little bit of squeezed garlic. Some of this comes in like the glass jar. This cooks a little bit. It's easier to just squeeze it out. And we're gonna let both of those brown. So we're tossing that up. Y'all see that cooks nice and quickly.
Zucchini not as quickly, but we're going. You can tell zucchini is done when you see like some brown on the side. You see that? When you see it start to be brown.
And what did you add to the spinach? I don't think we got that.
Oh yeah, just a little salt and pepper. Just a little salt and pepper. Look, all that just for it to cook down to nothing. So I got a little ramekin here. I like to put Chris's spinach in this nice, pretty little container. It's really a ramekin. Ta-da! It's so tiny. Look, it's in my hand. Cooking beautifully, so I just turned the heat off. It was nice and high. You just want it to be soft, so you can feel with your tongs, you know, the softness of it. You got some browning on here. The butter helps with that too. It just helps bring out that flavor of zucchini. Okay, so those are good. And now we're going to plate. Start with the potatoes. I like to just take a dollop. And another dollop. And I like to just glide. Just glide it on down. There we go. Beautiful. Do the same thing on this side. Dollop, dollop, glide. Dollop, dollop, glide. Then we have this right here in the center for Christopher. We've got my zucchini right here. Zucchini's not always the prettiest to plate, but I mean, it tastes good. Okay, then I'm gonna just take Christopher's steak. That looks real good. Nice and juicy. Nice and hot, warm. Oh yeah. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. And we're just going to place it right here on this plate for him. Bam. Right there. I like to cut my rosemary in half just because, like, it's pretty. Place that on top for a garnish. Here we go. And there we have it. And now to accompany it, we have our famous Martinelli's Gold Sparkling Blush. This is our favorite, if anybody knows, this is our favorite. Non-alcoholic, so especially if you're trying to have a little vibe but you don't want to drink, you celebrate. Cheers, my darling. I'll do it for you. Cheers. All right, we're hungry. Let's go eat.
It's time to dig in. The moment we've all been waiting for. So first we're gonna start with the potatoes. They look beautifully cooked. It's blood. No.
That's not funny.
Huh?
Not okay.
It's rich in flavor.
Chris be doing this like chef voice, so he be trying to act so cool. If it's good, it's good.
It has many different layers to it, right? So I taste the fluffy layer on top, which is embodied. Then I taste the meat of the potatoes, right? Which is
How do you taste the meat of the potatoes?
to give it definition, right? And then it leaves a good aftertaste. Okay? Let's move to the greens. The spinach.
That's spinach, yeah. That's what you were supposed to do for the potatoes.
Seasoned beautifully. Perfect temperature. Here's it right here. Hands down, the best spinach you'll ever taste. And then the moment of truth. The steak looks beautiful. Let's look into it. It's raw.
It's not.
It's good.
Medium is a thin line of pink. What we got?
It looks good.
Yeah.
Let's try it out.
Well, now these people gonna think I can't cook.
Beautifully cooked. It's amazing. It's juice filled. A lot of juice. It's spot on. Matter of fact, see, look at that. It's spot on. Overall meal, I give it a 10 out of 10. Splendid. Hands down. Best meal I've ever had in my life. Chop, if y'all need a new judge, here I am. You have tuned into yet another very filling episode of The Rex and Family Values. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And Arielle actually might teach us how to make some more meals. I'm excited. I learned a lot today. I hope you did too. With that being said, we'll see you all soon.